why gay men struggle with body image and what you can do about it. Hey guys, Michael Pasulo here, psychotherapist in West Hollywood, working mostly with gay men. So this conversation about body image in our community is all over the place, but I want to offer you a take on it that maybe you haven't heard before. So let's get into it. So let's just cut to the chase. The reality is men can be very superficial, gay men and straight men. Arousal is often tied to physical appearance, right? And I think a lot of the conversations when we talk about body image go into this place of changing societal norms and all that kind of stuff. And that's all great and fine, but I want to talk to you guys just about dealing with the world as it is. And the truth is that I think that men are superficial, men are sexual, and the chances are that that's still going to be a driving force in our community for a long time. Obviously, there are different types and different aesthetics, but I think we can expect that men are going to be drawn to what they find attractive. And so rather than trying to, ignore that or fight against it, I want to talk to you guys about how we can best adapt to the world as it is, rather than in just being frustrated and trying to hope that the world changes. So with that said, this is my take. So I think the first thing is that you want to diversify your assets. So the way that the gay community accepts you, takes you in, is going to have to do with how you look in a certain sense, right? It is one of the things that is valued. However, there are a number of things that make you valuable as a person. There's so many things that you bring to the table, and kind of like a stock portfolio, you want to diversify. So you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket, because the truth is, if you put everything in how you look, when you age, or I don't know, something changes, it's going to be a crisis for you. So for anyone, you want to think about, what do I bring to the table? What are my strengths? And how can I diversify those so I have as many different data points to support my self-esteem as possible, rather than making it all about one thing in particular. The next thing is going to be about really following the fantasy. So I find a lot of times that a lot of men attach themselves to this idea of being a perfect 10 or being super desirable and all that kind of stuff. And what I encourage you to think about is, what do you imagine you're going to achieve there? So, if you imagine, like, once I have the perfect body, then what? Usually what they're filling in a fantasy is that I'm going to have this perfect life. Everyone's going to like me. Everyone's going to want to be with me, all kinds of stuff. And I think that is often where you can start to get more curious and really flesh this out further, because I think the truth is that, sure, if you get in better shape and if you look get more attention for how you look, it's going to be a nice boost to your confidence. Don't get me wrong. We're not going to pretend that's not the truth. But all of these other things that I think people often attach to it, about how their life is just going to be all, rainbows and sunshine and so on and so forth, I think that's where it goes more into a fantasy than reality. So I would really encourage people to consider, okay, so say I do wake up tomorrow and I look exactly the way I want to and I'm just perfect. Then what? What is this fantasy that you think that you're going to achieve? How do you think the world is going to change? My guess is that it probably is not going to be as monumental as you imagine. And also, too, don't forget that human beings adapt, to both positive and negative circumstances. So while you may have a temporary boost in your happiness and satisfaction by getting in better shape and so on and so forth, you're likely going to adjust to that and plateau out, and your level of frustration in life is going to just shift to something else, just kind of human nature. So really think about following this fantasy of what you imagine is going to happen. The next thing would be, don't burden others. And what I mean by this is, all of us as adults, it is our job to take care of our self-esteem. Of course, we want people who support us and love us and, push us to do our best. That's great. But I think a lot of people and a lot of gay men make their insecurities other people's responsibility. So they're often kind of fishing for compliments, or kind of complaining about this and that. And they're looking for other people to tell them that they're good enough, that they're pretty enough and handsome enough and whatever it is. And compliments and all those kinds of things are fine, but make sure that you're not putting the responsibility on other people to do your work for you. Because all of us have to take responsibility and do the job of owning our own self-worth and not making it someone else's burden to make us feel good about ourselves. I think that's another thing that we can all fall into, and particularly when it comes to body image and looks. And the last thing too is give yourself permission. So this is an interesting thing, but I find that a lot of people don't give themselves permission to be desirable, to be attractive. And this will often come across in the sense of someone who says that they want to get in better shape, but they make no efforts, or they, want to get healthier, but they don't really do anything. And what I find is that a lot of guys internalized from a young age that they were not desirable, or that being sexual was inherently wrong because of their sexuality, because they were gay. And so they're kind of caught in this bind of part of them wants to be, more perceived in a more attractive way, but also they feel a little bit averse to identifying with that. It's almost like, when you're in high school, like a geek versus like a cheerleader, like you internalize the sense of, oh, I'm not the attractive one, or, oh, I am the attractive one. And that can really stick with people for a long time. People often who were like heavy when they were younger experience this of they can be fit for years and years and years, but they still have this mentality that they're not attractive. So I would really consider, like, do you actually give yourself permission? Because I find that guys that I know who are confident in how they look and do, reasonable things to take care of themselves, like eating healthy, going to the gym, whatever, they give themselves permission to be desirable and to be attractive because they feel like it's okay and that they deserve it. So I would really consider, like, do you have any unconscious hangups that are holding you back from actually going toward this goal? So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about gay men and body image. This is obviously a very complex topic, and I know in our community it's particularly front and center, but I really wanted to offer some ideas from a therapeutic perspective that you hadn't heard before. It wasn't just the typical, it sucks, it's so unfair, we have to change our community, but rather, how can I make the best of the community as it is right now? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, please subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more of more topics about gay men and mental health and psychology. And if you want to talk to me directly as a coach or as a therapist, my booking link is in the description. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.